Welcome to the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast brought to you by ProudMouth. I'm your host, Matt Halloran. Being your own loud is not new to marketing, but the mindset, strategies, and resources to help you get there are evolving faster than this industry is keeping up. It is time to find a new perspective on what works why and how to move your business forward. Listen as I interview guests to help you learn from them how to be your own loud. Let's get to the show. Hello and welcome to another Top Advisor Marketing Podcast. We are, of course, at the MarketCounsel Summit meeting here in wonderful Miami. It is beautiful, it is hot, and I have the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Hamburger. Now, Brian, here's the deal. You're in my world now, and he said, well, tell everybody what you said.
No. You said I'm in your room. I'm saying you're in my house.
I'm in his house. So I have the room in the house that he built, which is absolutely true. Now, for those people who don't know what MarketCounsel Summit is, first, I don't know how that would be possible, but if you don't mind, give us a brief on what this is, and then let's talk about what's happened over the last couple of days.
So I don't know what the MarketCounsel Summit is, right? I mean, I can tell you what we've created.
Okay.
But I think the effect is quite personal, right? I think it's subjective. I think people have their own why. And I don't want to be presumptuous and to tell them why. I mean, we created the MarketCounsel Summit to allow for a forum where leading wealth management firms could come at the end of the year and reassess the landscape, set their priorities for the coming year, and really engage in an ecosystem that was far bigger than their own. Okay. So it was part discovery, part exploration. It was, started with the notion of some civil discord, debate, dialogue, and so these are all hallmarks of the MarketCounsel Summit. But I think when you speak to others, and you'll be able to prove this, or yay or nay. Yeah. I think everyone gets something different out of the summit. I think it means something different to everyone, and I'm okay with that.
Sure. I love, and here's why I believe you're setting yourself up for such success there, because it's about assessing. And everybody's going to assess where they're at, and that's where they begin. And that's what's been so fascinating about the people that you've had on stage and sharing, because there's a lot of assessing going on right now, dude. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, there is a lot of assessing going on right now. I think people are reemerging, right? They're reemerging after, their deep hibernation during quarantine, and they spend some real time, sometimes unfortunately assessing their own mortality, right? And how much time that they wanted to continue to work, or at least work at the pace that they were working. But they're also reemerging after being locked down, right? And so hyper-focused on their own business. And it's almost like they're seeing the outside for the very first time again, right? It's like that Wizard of Oz where everything just turns to color.
Yes.
Right? And one day I have a funny story about that with you. But you see people just engaging in such incredible dialogue with one another. And I don't want people that aren't here, I don't want them to think that that's like corporate speak for, sponsored sales. And it really, at the MarketCounsel Summit, we've got an entire ecosystem here, right? It's founders and CEOs of leading wealth management firms. It's leading journalists, and it's top executives from service providers within the space, right? When a service provider comes, and we are thrilled that they participate as a sponsor, there's two limitations here that don't exist at other conferences. One, they don't have any influence as to what happens from the stage, right? And that one change alters the entire dynamic of our curriculum, and it ensures that to the advisors, we're not wasting their time.
Sure.
Now, we may not spend their time wisely all the time because all of this is my idea, and I may just be wrong, right? I'm typically wrong every day, right? But they know that it's not swayed by sponsor influence, and we didn't put it in front of them as like an infomercial. It's just not our business model. It's not who we are. It's not our culture. But the other thing with sponsors is they're sending their top executives because they don't see this as necessarily a direct sales opportunity. They see this as a way to have a B2B relationship. Yeah. Meet our executives, we'll meet yours. Let's try to assess one another's values and priorities and see if there's some synergies between the two.
Now, how did you feel about the fact that, a lot of the people who've been here did this a lot, right? Road warriors, went to a lot of conferences. And then when that came to a screeching halt, do you feel like this was like people kind of getting their muscle memory back and feeling what that was like? Did you notice that at all?
I see people limping around and saying, "I haven't worn these shoes in quite a while." Right? I think we're all socially fatigued more than usual. This was never. This is not our business model, right? I mean, MarketCounsel Consulting, the Hamburger law firm, we're okay without this.
Sure,
but it certainly was a missing element in 2020 when we couldn't have this event. Not only did we suffer like everyone else from not engaging individually with our clients and with our industry partners and the press, but this is a really weird event for us culturally because it shows what a small but mighty team can pull off. I mean, I've got a team of 10 people here, and it shows often to them what an outsized impact they can have, right? And so culturally for us, it really is part of who we are. And so not having it in 2020, I think had a negative impact on the team. I think we lost that annual opportunity we have to kind of steel ourselves and understand what we're capable of.
Yeah. So what is the biggest things that you've gleaned from the amazing speakers on stage and just people coming up to you and saying, "Hey, Brian, I want to talk to you about what's going on"?
I think the biggest thing that I gleaned from this is that people are so damn happy to get back together. Despite all of our preferences on social distancing and the warnings, I have had more hugs during this conference, and people just can't help themselves. And so I'm hoping we're putting on a great show from the stage. I think we've assembled an amazing faculty, really of industry insiders, right? That was my focus this year. It's like no one needs the headliners, right? We've all been contented out, right? I've been to so many virtual conferences. When we're ready to engage, let's sit down and let's give them some real meat to chew on so that when the conversation flows from the stage, they're talking about something meaningful, right? So I'll leave the entertainment to YouTube this year. I think they've been doing a pretty phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Anyone can stream anything at any given time, but let's do what we can do best at a conference, right? Which is take 3, maybe 4 individuals who speak on their own at other conferences throughout the year. Let's put them in a fishbowl, right? To challenge one another and to have a discussion. And what we found is that all the time it elevates everyone's game.
Yeah.
Everyone gets better by having other professionals on stage that have differing viewpoints and perspectives.
I love that. In fact, there were a couple of times where I've been manning the booth a bunch here with podcasting, but I would go in and see, because when you would have the panels and somebody would say something and somebody would say, "I don't agree with that." It was like totally respectful. And then they had meaningful discourse and they became better people because of that. That doesn't normally happen at these conferences. It's like everybody's talking at you. And I felt like this one was me participating in a conversation that I wanted to be in.
So Matt, I am completely spoiled in one aspect of my career in that I have so many friends in this industry and other professionals that I get to talk to and I get to sit down with and sometimes grab an early morning breakfast, or I'll talk to them while I'm out on a morning run. And when I will relate that to someone else in the industry, they'll say, "I wish I could be a fly on the wall when you had that conversation." Right? And so it's kind of like what we're doing here with some of the discussions, where I'm bringing these folks there and saying, can we have a conversation similar to those topics on stage? And from my perspective and their perspective, we're often like, well, not sure that's all that interesting to too many people, but the feedback we get from people is, that was amazing, that was great. And so it's really gratifying to do that.
All right, put your Karnak the Magnificent hat on.
Yeah.
And I
love Karnak.
Yeah, I was hoping you would know who that was. What do you see coming down the pipeline? I mean, you are so plugged into so many trends, wildly reflective people. What are you hearing? What do you think is the next thing?
I don't know.
Okay. That's a good answer, man.
I'll start with that. I'll
Okay.
start with I don't know. I think that, you talked about civil discord. I'm hopeful that we're getting back to that.
Oh.
I'm hopeful that we're getting back to an era where we're comfortable with disagreement, where we can actually have conversation. I remember hearing my grandparents and their friends sitting around the table, and they would debate.
Yeah.
And they would also wonder, right? We now Google, right? And, and no one wonders anything for more than about 20 seconds. But, like that, to me, those were some of the most interesting conversations. And so I'm hopeful that we're able to get back to that. I'm hopeful that we're getting away from just the universal answer. And I think that advisors are starting to understand that they're allowed to inquire, right? I know they're advisors and I know they're hardwired to have all the answers, but it's okay not to, right? It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest transitions that advisors have is not the move from a wirehouse to independence. It's the transition from this mindset that I'm here to serve and I'm here to, to have an answer and to show confidence to showing vulnerability and to be willing to ask meaningful questions, the open-ended questions also that are going to get the most out of someone who may know more than you in that particular area. And I don't know. I don't think that's a vulnerability. And if it is, it's certainly one that's okay to have.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to be corny with my answer to you, Matt, but I certainly can't tell the future. But I am hopeful that that's what the immediate future brings. And I hope we've learned a lot from being under quarantine. And
Lord knows I have. Oh, my goodness gracious. And not only did I find out a lot about myself, but my kids, my wife, when we were all out. Anyway. And it was also really fascinating that we also kind of found out that you can run a business entirely virtually and have that work well. Now, here's my favorite question, okay? What should I have asked you that I didn't?
And what you should ask me, well, it's kind of like what I want to ask you is like, do all journalists have that question lined up in the back of their interview?
Some of us do.
Well, and then respondents should have a cleverly loaded question, because it's not like that's the first time someone has asked me that question. What should I be asking you? What should I be asking you?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's I'll give you one.
All
What
right.
should you ask me? You should ask me this. Ready? What is the most gratifying part of the MarketCounsel Summit 2021 experience?
Okay. There you go. You said that. That's good. Answer
one?
that. That's a good question.
For the first time ever, I have not one, but two of my children here at the conference.
Oh, my gosh.
And so my daughter, who's a senior at Pitt, is manning the registration desk. My son, who's a senior in high school, has been helping us with logistics and running mics, and having them finally understand why I was actually out of pocket for the better part of a week.
Yeah.
And I would just call home and they'd be like, how are you so incredibly busy?
Yeah.
Having them be here and see it, it's among my proudest moments.
Nice.
Love seeing him here. And my middle one, Jake, he's a junior at Georgetown, and he'll get through finals, and I'm sure she'll be able to get here one year.
Nice. Well, Brian, thank you very much for putting on this amazing event. Thanks for taking some time with our audience, and I can't wait to come back and continue to learn from you.
Las Vegas, 2022.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for listening to the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast, brought to you by ProudMouth. If you want to learn more about how you can be your own loud, visit our website, read our blog posts, attend our educational webinars, and sign up for our new Influence Accelerator Academy, where you too can learn how to truly be an influencer in your space. Have a wonderful day.